This is AndyTube. In this video I'm going to install the new needle clamp jib that I bought, and I'm going to install an alternative thread guard / thread guide that is missing off of the needle bar that I couldn't find a replacement for. So when you have a needle clamp that requires a needle clamp jib, and the jib is broken or missing, like mine was missing when I got this machine, it's not going to work very well. The jib is a piece that fits in the needle clamp and is used to brace one side of the needle so that when you turn the needle clamp, it can press the needle into the jib and have something to squeeze it against. Now, like the model 301 that I recently did had a little hockey puck shaped needle jib, but this one has like a vertical needle jib that's shaped like the letter C, and I found one online and I bought it, and it's the right part. I'm disappointed that it took 9 days to get here from Tennessee. And then, much to my regret, I found that Terry Fielding on TNTrepair.com also sells this. And I thought it was such a weird little specialty part, I never thought of looking on his website, because I could, using the discount code he gave us that's good until the end of 2018 and maybe beyond. So I'll put a link to his page where he sells this clamp, and you can use the code, which I'll also put, ANDY-H-YT, all lowercase, and he'll give you 20% off everything on his store there. And I don't believe that you have to make a minimum purchase, and there's no limit either. So I think if you buy a $5 jib, he'll give you that, or if you buy a $500 worth of parts, you know, buy out his inventory, I think he'll give you that. So the company that I bought this from is reputable, but it took them almost 72 hours to ship it, and once they shipped it, it took 6 days to get from Tennessee to Arizona. Phew. So there's the jib, and it is the right part. Let me put a picture of it up here right now. I'll do a scan and I'll put this up right now so you can see it with the part number and stuff. Okay, so this jib here, it slides in, whoops, by my pointer here, it slides in from the bottom of the needle bar up into this groove. And in that groove, about halfway up, there's like a tube, a hollow tube that's set through the needle bar. And that does a couple of things for it. One, that's the needle stop when you're installing a needle. Oop, let me turn this up a little bit. When you're installing the needle, you push it in all the way up against that tube, and that's the stop, and that's how you know that you have your sewing needle inserted correctly. So right up there I have it against the tube, at the top, right, whoops, I had it there, right there. So from what I can see, when this jib would go in there, it's also going to rest against there, and that keeps the against that tube, and that's going to keep the jib from sliding up into the needle bar. And there, it's set up so that there's a space behind the jib and in front of the needle clamp, so when you tighten the needle clamp thumb screw, it's going to push the needle right against here and hold it in place. Okay, so to put it in, we'll just slide it up in there first. I'll get my clamp ready. I'm pretty sure this notch goes down. Now you can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it does. So if I slide this jib in, I wonder if I can give you a better shot of this here. If I slide this jib in from the bottom, it won't just go into the slot, because I think the slot is kind of tapered, but if I slide it up from the bottom, then it goes in. So I've got it in, I pushed it up against that tube. Then to get the needle clamp over this, I found you have to kind of slip it out of the needle bar partially and kind of into the needle clamp, and then slip the needle clamp and the jib up together like that. And I had another machine with a jib. I think it was one of the 300s maybe. I'm sorry, I don't remember now, but it had the same kind of tricky little jib installation thing. So here's the top of the C, you know, like the letter C, the top of the jib, and here's the bottom in that notch. Okay, so if I loosen my thumb screw back there, I should be able to slide my needle in, up in the needle bar behind that jib, and slide it all the way up to the tube bar, the little tube in there, and then tighten everything up, and now I'm in. So if worst came to worst, you could thread up your machine and go from this nose and thread guard, I guess, right down kind of like that to the hole in the needle, the eye of the needle, and thread. But there is supposed to be this little clip-on, I call it a pigtail wire, that you run the thread through that, and then it's right up above the needle. And I had broken remnants of that on this machine. And when I looked online, I think I mentioned there's a lot of these needle bars and clamps for sale, and none of them had the jib included. So I guess you have to take that off to get the needle bar out the way Singer recommends, and I think that's where they get broken, is trying to get them out. Get that off to remove the needle bar maybe. Let me take the needle out for a second. The other thing with this jib fitting in that groove is it prevents the needle clamp from spinning around on the needle bar. So some of the machines I did, like the 400, you know, there's a little screw on the needle clamp and it just screws right to the needle bar. And it doesn't have a jib, which I like. But this one does, so I had to buy that. It was like $5 or $6 in shipping. So the problem now, though, is without that thread guide, when you have the thumb screw loosened, the whole thing can just slide right off of the needle bar. You know, it won't I would say it won't twist like this, but it can just kind of like fall right off. Oop, and the jib can fall right out. So I think that was the other purpose of the notch in the jib with that clamp, was that the bottom of the jib rested on that thread guide, and that kept the jib and the thumb screw from coming down. So the way Singer made it, you know, it won't go up, it won't go down, and it won't twist. Like, see, without the jib, this just twists all over. So that was half my problem. At least now I can hold a needle, because a machine that doesn't hold a needle isn't worth anything, really. So let's see if I can slide that partially off and tilt that clamp up over the bottom of the C and then wiggle it back up. Okay, so I looked around, tried to think of what I could do to get something on here. I thought, well, maybe I can put, you know, something up here. I tried to screw a little eyelet screw into that tube, but the smallest eyelet screw is too big. I thought about, you know, just wrapping a paper clip or something. I just want the thread to be over more here than coming to the needle from here. So I went to my favorite hardware store and looked at all these little wiry things here, what I do with them. And I found what's called an external hitch pin. This is a 1/4 inch, right? And I think I actually got these at Home Depot. It was like 2 of these for 57 cents. So let me show you a picture of, let me do a scan of these and I'll show you those up close with the package and stuff so you can see. Okay, so I'd never heard of a hitch pin before, so they had big ones of these, so I think it's something to do with a trailer hitch and stuff, but don't quote me on that. But what I imagined and I bought, and what I'm able to do, is slide this over the bottom of the needle bar and into the groove, the channel cut for the factory thread guard, and it doesn't go all the way in. I mean, this is a little bit bigger wire gauge than the original little pigtail, but by pushing it on, and you got to be firm pushing it on there, but come on, yeah, but it clips into that groove and it stays there pretty good. I can do this from behind the camera here. I can maybe get a side thing going on. So it's, the needle bar is going to end up in that little center diamond shape there. If I can get it to go on again. I put this on last night, and I didn't want to grab it with a plier because I'm worried of damaging the metal and putting like a burr, and I don't want my thread to go over a rough spot. when I'm sewing. Come on. Maybe I should have put my leather glove on or something. Maybe if I can slide that there, I'll loosen that clamp a little. Yikes. Come on. There. Whee, there it goes. But once it's on there pretty darn tight. And let's see if I can give you maybe an overhead look at it. Turn it down a little, maybe. Okay, maybe you can see it on there a little bit better. So what sticks out now in front of the clamp is just this loop. And I can run the thread from the nose thread guide down through that loop and take it to the needle. So I'm headed down to the needle closer to a straight angle than over here at a 60-degree angle, kinda like that, or 50. So I was very happy for 57 cents to find that, and I'm going to go with that. And it keeps the jib in place, and it keeps the clamp in place from falling off. It's just a little bit wider gauge wire, than the original. Kind of fit in that groove better, and it had a little pigtail instead of this loop. But I guess the other thing is, if I do want to take off the needle bar someday, I can just pull this back off and take off the clamp and slide the needle bar out the way they recommend. Otherwise, if I had the original pigtail and wanted to remove the needle bar, I think I'd take off the whole vibrating bracket like I showed in that previous video, so I could slide the needle bar and all of this intact out the bottom. You can't slide it out when it's in the machine, but when you take the needle bar bracket out, the vibrating bracket out, and loosen the clamp, you can slide the bar right out the bottom, because you're just holding everything in your hand. But let me set this back up, and I'm going to thread it and put in the bobbin case. And because I want to be sure that needle's at the right height and everything, I'm going to see if I can pick up the bobbin thread. Okay, I just put a number 14 needle in there, and it looks perfect. I've run my thread through the machine. I have it down in my new little thread guide loop. And I put in the bobbin case and a bobbin with some thread, and I want to see if it'll pick up the bobbin thread. If it does, I know two things. My timing is good, and that the needle is functioning at the right height and right position. So, see, I've got to tilt this a little, get my hand back here. Let me just hold that. See if I can pick this bobbin thread up here. Hey, look at that. First time. Came right up. Okay. So there is my $4 plus shipping jib and my 57 cents including tax thread guide loop. And I have one more of those too, because there were 2 in the package. So I've even got a spare. How about that? Yay! So now that I can put a needle in here and bring up a bobbin thread and stuff, I just basically kind of check the timing, but now I can do a timing video. I can start investigating further the zigzag mechanism and the hook mechanism here. Alright, let me take this out, and I'm going to open up this cover. It's a little swing open cover for the race, and I'll show you that. It's for the heck of it. I'll show you that needle coming down, and right there getting on the hook, positioning of the for the hook. Looking good, doesn't it? So, and this little shuttle, they call it, I still call it a hook, but this one comes right out. So it'll be fun to do that exploration now that I have my jib and guard in. Thanks for watching my little repair video. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back and see some more of my 400 videos. Thanks for watching, and take care.